taking pictures for various things.
Oh, I wanted to ask you guys your opinion on the Iraq War.
We lost.
So who's responsible for the Iraq War?
No, I don't see.
Well, I mean, who gave the order to go in?
Yeah.
The order to go in was clearly the president at the time, who was a puppet of Dick Cheney. And are you recording this?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, I mean, obviously it's a complicated issue, but they trumped up some charges because basically. I mean, on the one hand, there was a personal issue that apparently they tried to kill his father, and so that was the personal issue on his part. And the whole concept was, which is a bit subtle, is that the Iraqis had actually signed a contract to sell oil to the Russians. And the West obviously didn't like this idea, so that in some senses that was part of the basis, which is very subtle, which almost nobody knows. But then, you know, they trumped up charges to invade, and the initial vote in the Senate was to authorize activity in the, you know, if things were found where they were breaking the agreements that they'd signed after they were expelled from Kuwait, and so that was part of the deal. But there were kind of trumped up charges, and ultimately they invaded, despite the fact that there wasn't really real evidence. It was all kind of trumped up evidence.
So was the democratically controlled Senate, are they responsible?
The Senate at the time was not controlled by the Democrats.
Actually, the vote was in October of 2002. Well, the Democrats still controlled the Senate. The Democrats had a majority of the Senate.
I don't believe you're correct there.
Yes, the vote to invade Iraq was in October of 2002.
No,
well, the Democrats.
That was not a vote to invade Iraq.
It was the vote.
It was a vote to authorize the president for military action if they found enough cause.
So in 2002, while the Democrats, including Hillary Clinton, controlled the U.S. Senate, they gave President Bush.
That is not true.
How is that not true?
They didn't authorize him to invade. They authorized military action if it was proven that they were avoiding the sanctions, and if it was proven that they had weapons of mass destruction, and the charges were trumped up that they had them, and then they invaded. Hillary Clinton did not vote to invade Iraq. That is bullshit, which is bandied around because they don't know the full history.
Okay, well,
and if you want to tell me that means that Hillary Clinton shouldn't be president, I think you have to be not a one-issue voter. And if that's the only reason why you're saying that she should not be president, you're a one-issue voter, and you have to look at her whole record rather than just that one issue. You have to look at the fact that while she was Secretary of State,
we overthrew Libya.
While we were Secretary of State, we made a treaty with the Russians, and we have about 2,000 less nuclear warheads in this area. She laid the groundwork for the fact that we have an agreement with the Iranians rather than a war with the Iranians, and we did not invade Libya. Libya was fighting to overthrow a dictator.
What do you call it when we take the CIA and give them millions of dollars to fund rebels and militants to overthrow a country? Is that not an invasion in some sense?
And are you talking about the 1950s, the 1940s, the 1960s, the 1970s?
Well, Clinton was Secretary of State.
When are you talking about
2011.
when the CIA were out of control?
Overthrowing Libya in 2011.
The CIA did not overthrow Libya. The people of Libya rose up as part of the Arab Spring, and then they fought against Muhammad Gaddafi.
So you don't think that
Muhammad Gaddafi? Shut up! I'm talking. Muhammad Gaddafi was the person who ordered who was responsible for the bombing of an airliner which killed hundreds of Americans, hundreds of British, and several.
What evidence do we have of that?
On the ground.
Do we have any evidence?
He was a dictator who did that.
Do we have any evidence of that?
Don't be daft.
I mean,
don't be daft. I mean, what do you want? What do you want?
Well,
he said when these people rose up against him, his own people, he said he would massacre them. And at the point that he said he would massacre them, the Europeans began to support the rebels.
So you think the United States?
And at that point, the United States began to support the rebels, and they were supported in the Senate by, amongst other people, Bernie Sanders, and there you go.
Oh, so since Bernie Sanders is okay with it, it's all right.
No. Who the hell's side are you on?
Well, I'm just saying. So we overthrew the nation of Libya.
So you're just asking questions to provoke ridiculous responses. Is that what you're
Well, what do
doing?
you think about the overthrow of Libya? Should the United States?
Is your voice being recorded or just mine?
Both of our voices are being recorded.
Okay, well that's good.
Well, what do you think about the United States overthrowing Libya? Did we?
The United States did not overthrow Libya.
Did the United States overthrow Libya? Logic, reason,
James, we're not
logic,
qualified to speak
reason?
on behalf of the campaign, so...
He was overthrown by his own people with the help of a coalition which included NATO members, including the United States, and including Arab countries as
And
well.
including the Central Intelligence Agency. You'd have no opinion on the CIA helping to overthrow the nation of Libya?
I don't believe that you have evidence that the CIA was involved, except that the CIA is part of the intelligence gathering of the United States, and including the fact that, yes, that to aid these rebels, we did use spy satellites and various other intelligence gathering, which we do all the time, everywhere, and that is certainly true. That intelligence agencies, probably the NSA, and everybody who gathers intelligence, which we do in collaboration with most NATO countries as well.
What do you think about the fact that Hillary Clinton thinks Edward Snowden should be jailed? Do you agree with her that Edward Snowden should serve jail time?
Edward Snowden is a traitor to his country.
So do you support the surveillance state of spying on all Americans without warrant or reason?
We have a generalized intelligence gathering which attempts to figure out whether communications between people who are terrorists in the outside and people who are terrorists on the inside. And this surveillance does include domestic terrorism as well. And they do gather information. Most of the information is in fact no different from your phone bill. It tells them who called whom and for how long, and that's in your phone bill. So all they're doing is collecting everybody's phone bill, and whether that's right or whether that's wrong or whether that's whatever. And what they do is they have algorithms which figure out if they have a known terrorist, they figure out who they're calling, and they figure out how for long, and they get a network of people who were possibly overlooking the government. They do exactly the same for organized crime, no different, and for people who were doing things like child pornography, and all of these all of these things come out of surveillance, and yes, they do it. It's always been done.
Next time I'll have to do it.
I mean,
What do you think about what do you think about the fact that Hillary Clinton supports the current occupation of Iraq?
Iraq is now turned over to its people.
We have 4,000 troops in Iraq.
But it is being attacked by people who ISIS, ISIL, whatever you want to call them, who are various different nationalities.
We have 4,000 troops back in Iraq. Hillary Clinton supports this. Do you support sending troops back to Iraq?
Are you sure that she actually supports that, or are you sure that she supports various different methods of dealing with ISIS?
Including troop deployment in Iraq?
How are you doing today?
Personally, I think that is something which the American people are generally against troop deployments. The American people have come to become what I would call casualty averse. The American people do not like troop deployments where our people get killed, but they have no compunction about us killing them. So we have got, the entire country has got to a moral low point where we are willing to kill, but we are not willing to die, and that gives them, to a certain extent, the moral high ground, and that is a difficulty of our entire foreign policy, which I would not necessarily go along with if I were in charge of the country. But it's a complicated decision. It's very, very complicated, and that's one of the issues that I have with Hillary Clinton, why I support her. She is an extremely capable person, and she will respond, I believe, to complicated problems with sophisticated answers. And what you're asking me is simple, sloganized questions, and quite frankly, you are essentially being the provocative person attempting to, yes, again, asking me very simplified questions rather than the sophisticated issues which are involved in certain of these things. All right?
Is it okay that she's a war criminal?
I believe that you're a propagandist. I believe that you are a propagandist personally. Hillary Clinton is by no means a war criminal, and frankly, that is an obscene suggestion.